I may be the only person in the room that's known Tom for over 60 years. The Tom Wittliff that you see now is the real thing. He is truly a very colorful, lovable human being. His style of reaching out to people and attaining people is different from what the holy books say about how to be a priest. But it works, and it works. Because of his colorful style and all of that, some people fail to realize he is a truly, deeply spiritual man.
I was in one of the local gyms here working out, doing a lot of weightlifting at that time, and there's this guy over in the gym here just pumping weights, and I'm just thinking to myself, wow, that guy's really going at it hard. And he's the oldest guy in the gym. And I'm thinking, wow, what a role model, what a guy. I go to church that Sunday, and we have a new pastor, so everybody's anxious to see this new pastor. So I get into my pew and I grab a seat, and lo and behold, the person that comes walking out is the guy I see in the gym, Father Tom Wittliff.
I met him as a student here. He would stop at our football practices all the time and talk to us before games, and that's how I got to know him, is as a player here. He's been in my life probably about, the last 12, 14 years. It's pretty awesome.
He's family. I mean, it's more than friendship. He leads so much by example. He's so down to earth and genuine. I just think his example every day, him as a person, has made me a better person.
I think one of the main things that always comes to mind when you think of Father Tom is that he's human. So many people, I think, put priests on a pedestal of almost a deity, right? But Father Tom's very human. He admits his mistakes in life, and that makes him very relatable.
When I was starting out in high school, Tech, my little sister died of leukemia. Her name was Connie, And on the playground of 4th and Lincoln, where I was raised and still have my family home, 4th and Lincoln. We call it the Polish Chateau by the alley, So she was a little tomboy on that playground with my buddies on 4th and Lincoln, crossing the police station. And then a simple cold that didn't get better, and in a couple of weeks she was gone. My only sister. First the anger, and then the I don't know stuff of life, and then I'll show you God. But nothing was ever the same for me, nothing. And I couldn't discern it, I couldn't put a name on it. As a normal kid back in the 50s, I didn't like priests. I really didn't. I was raised at St. Josephat. Some were beautiful men, but some were cruel. So I wasn't particularly enamored of priests. So this thing began to come into me that I noticed it was my buddies as close as I was, and I hung with guys from Tech, South, Bayview, Pulaski, Notre Dame, Bosco. I was different. I felt things differently than my buddies felt, I saw things that others didn't see, and I asked, what is this thing in me, So, when I finally announced, after seeking counseling and prayer, finally announced to Dad and Mom that I wanted to enter, and after Daddy got up from the floor laughing, then I entered. And I still wasn't quite sure what I wanted, and so finally I gave myself to him. I became a priest because a little girl, in God's plan, died of leukemia, October 20th, 1950.
Tom had one sibling, his sister. She died at a young age. This has left a deep imprint on Tom's spirituality. It's given him a feel for young people. Young people's lives is sometimes fragile, not just old-timers, but it left an imprint on him as a young priest, and I think it endures.
There, I love your hairdo. Do you like mine? Thank you very much. I'm coming, usually I walk around, screw around in the cafeteria, My joy is that I got to talk crap with the best of them, there's some royalty in there on that subject, and they're pretty good. I got to show them that they can't outwit Father Wittliff. So. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Dude, why do they put all the pretty chicks on one table? Do I know Jimmy? If he won't squeal on me, I won't squeal on him.
He always just has a way of saying something really simple and really profound, and sometimes it's just, I'm thinking of you, or it was great to see you. And to just be recognized and be present with him is really a blessing, because he makes you feel like you're important.
Christian education, and we share that with all of our sisters and brothers who believe that the Lord Jesus is alive and kicking. See, that's the basis of Christianity, that he's alive and kicking. And that he's alive and kicking in me, see. Kids have to know that they are important, not because they keep up with the Kardashians, and not because they get to the bank and drop off the checks, and not because they belong to the alleged beautiful people, but that they understand that they are chosen, set aside by the good God to be him until he returns. That's why I believe in Christian education. We have to give the children truth instead of what the world calls important. The world lies to them. And of course we have seen the effects. A society, a culture, a civilization that buries its young people at the suicide rate that they do, does this tell us anything about our young people? How can you look upon life as hopeless when you're only 16 or 15? How can you do that? But they do, because either they forgot or someone forgot to give them the fact that the Lord Jesus Christ is alive and kicking in them. That gives you purpose and meaning. They come here as these little meatballs, these peanuts, these freshmen, And then you look at them on graduation day, and I think to myself, well, what have they learned here? I do hope that they have learned that they are important to be loved, that God makes no junk, that they are important.
Well, his approach is more informal than many priests. The way he approaches you when he talks to you, the way he talks to you, how he dresses. He is more informal than some priests are comfortable with, or more informal than some priests could get away with. But it works. It is never to be mistaken for lack of respect for you or lack of respect for priesthood. He takes both of those very seriously. And I gotta think that any person who has ever heard him preach has got a couple of nuggets that they're going to keep in their mind and in their heart for the rest of their lives.
You just listen to some of his homilies and it's like, is the priest really saying this stuff? But people are like, this makes sense. Thank you. Someone's actually talking, real to us, and people really appreciate that.
So he married us. He baptized all my kids. He saw over both my mother and father's funerals, and just such a huge impact in my life. Besides my parents, Father Tom had probably the next biggest influence on me growing up. So did a lot for me.
When I think about him, I smile. I always have a laugh with him. He always has a hug. He's so generous with high fives and hugs and fist bumps and whatever the cool kids are doing. So whenever I think about him, I just am flooded with joy and warmth, because he just warms my heart.
Maybe people don't really realize or appreciate is what he's meant to so many different people, how he's helped them, especially people, whether it's students or kids who have really gone through some rough times and needed somebody there as like either a mentor or sometimes a father figure. And you could talk to, I'm sure, find so many people in the city of Milwaukee and now outside of the city of Milwaukee where he really helped these guys, whether it's through school, personally, whatever troubles that they may need that a lot of people don't even maybe really realize about it. He saved the lives of a lot of people, not necessarily like saving a life at that moment, but just his presence and those kind of things. And he's done the same thing for me. I wouldn't be the person I am without him. I think sometimes people don't realize just how much he has done for the people around this area, the people he's come across in his life. And that's the stuff that goes unnoticed, but it's the important stuff.
They realize that the priest is only the instrument. I remember my sensation years ago when I was studying in Rome, that I was sitting in Florence in the Church of Santa Croce at the tomb of Michelangelo. I was sitting on the floor right next to his tomb, And I'm thinking to myself, in praise of Michelangelo, when you see Pieta and David and you see this bizarre, how was that possible that, and he did, in stone and paint, So I was not sitting on that floor praising the chisel and hammer he used. I was not praising the paintbrush he used. I was praising the artist. That's the priesthood. Or no, with the chisel, with the hammer, with the paintbrush. We're not the artist, I'm serious about that. If a priest understands his life, it's very simple. If I may be blunt, I think the Lord is saying to us to get his work done, is to get the hell out of his way, And I hope my legacy is that I have handed down the faith that was given to me. That's all he asked us to do with this great gift of the faith. Pass it on. That's been my job. It's been a wonderful life.
The Chancellor's Award is the highest honor that can be achieved at our school and recognizes a lifetime of support and accomplishment in the name of St. Thomas More.
Yeah, and really we view it as an award that's not just about St. Thomas More, but is really kind of the influence it had on the community of St. Thomas More, but also really the South Side, because that's where we kind of view Thomas More as affecting a lot of the South Side in general, and Father Tom has had that impact on the region.
When we think of Thomas More, we think of Father Tom. He comes to mind whenever I think of someone who just embodies what the school is all about. So he's already been in the Hall of Fame, and to give him this honor just seems like the perfect capper for someone as special as Father Tom.
So, FT, I want to say congratulations on that Chancellor Award. It is well-deserving. You've definitely earned it. And I know you probably downplayed it and said it's not that important. But if one thing I know you've learned over the years, it's not things that are important, but people that are important. And in this case, you deserve to be number one and be important.
I'm taking this award for whatever it means, not for myself. I'm taking that, hopefully, somebody drop off a couple bucks for the kids, somebody who knows me or remembers me or hangs with me or hooks up with me or whatever my life as a priest has been, I'm not taking this for myself. I give you my solemn word. It's that the school may benefit. The kids may benefit, especially those who need the education.
Father Tom, you're the best.
I'd like to get out of here, perhaps by noon. I got judo lessons with the nuns.
He's a goofy guy, to be honest with you.